Kung Fu Panda is a fantastic animated trilogy. Jack Black as a panda, you just can't miss. Come on. I just saw the fourth one in theaters, and I'm not gonna lie, this is the most like shameless cash grab that you could have. It's just not good, but we'll get into that soon. Obviously, this video is gonna contain a lot of spoilers. Ordinarily, I would encourage you to watch the movie first, but if you're a fan of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, I'd actually refrain from doing that. Before we go into the various hilarious reasons why this movie completely sucked nuts, let's just go over the good things first. The fight scenes, especially when Po is fighting his evil version self that the chameleon transforms into, is really entertaining, visually stunning. The fight choreography, the cinematography, it's honestly just fantastic. There are also quite a few jokes sprinkled around the movie. Some of them were not as good as others, but there were a few I did enjoy. For example, there's a moment where the main cast is running through a china shop getting chased by bulls. Bull in the china shop thing, that was pretty funny. But I'm not gonna lie, that's basically where the good things end. So
I don't have to know. So go fuck off. Everyone has Uno, dipshit. It came free with your fucking Xbox.
For those of you who haven't seen the movie, the film essentially follows Po taking on the next spiritual enlightened master of the Valley of Peace, which was the role that Master Oogway had in the first film. It's never explained why this job title is critically important to the functioning of the Valley of Peace, but it's just kind of treated as such, especially when that role has been missing from the Valley of Peace for several years at this point in the story, but it's like destiny or whatever. So Po sets off on a journey to find the next dragon warrior, and then hears about the chameleon causing trouble in a faraway nation and yada yada, you get the point. But what I haven't heard anybody mention is that this movie is basically a one-to-one crappier, watered down, dumbed down version of what the second movie already was. If you don't believe me, just listen. Po, with his comfortable butt-kicking life, is called into action because a maniacal overlord in a far-off place is forcing everyone around them to pull their resources together to fuel their desire to take over China. Po is accompanied by his companions across country, and he has this wacky dream on a boat which he talks to his companions about before the boat arrives at the big city revealed through the fog, a city, I might add, that is swarming with henchmen of this maniacal overlord that all happen to be the same species. So Po and his sidekick have to traverse the city without being caught by them. It is literally the exact same movie. But the hilarious part is the fourth one just takes all the things good about the second one and just makes them 100 times worse. Nothing makes sense and nothing carries any weight to it. Halfway through the movie, they even find this underground crime ring that the Fox girl used to be a part of, which quite literally goes nowhere. The only purpose they serve is a last-minute reinforcement towards like the later third act of the movie in a fight scene that didn't even need to happen. They allude to a complex, rich backstory between the Fox and this underground crime ring, but they obviously never expand upon it. So they even have that really emotionally complex scene between Tigress and Po from the second movie in the dungeon when they're trying to escape the law, and Tigress is trying to stop Po from being killed by Shen, obviously, because she cares about him as a friend. But in this movie, the version of that is just so ridiculously forced that it carries zero emotional relevance. In Kung Fu Panda 2, this scene carries weight because of the relationship between Tigress and Po has had a chance to grow and mature from enemies to respected friends. It hits you hard in the feels because throughout the entire second film, Po is fighting within himself with these complex existential questions like, what's his past, what happened, and who is he? We have had time to observe that growing conflict, so when it finally comes to a point in this scene, we feel how defeated Po must feel. We also know how hardened and unemotional Tigress is, so when, after Po explains his motivation reluctantly, Tigress goes in to hug him and confront him, saying, I can't watch my friend be killed. We feel the impact of her actions, not just because of what they represent, but because of how much buildup there was leading to this moment. Now compare that to this fourth film. The Fox has been this annoying doofus supporting character the entire film. Not only that, at this point in the movie, she has zero observable, redeemable qualities whatsoever. She's selfish, shady, and a thief. It's a direct result of the Fox Zen's actions that gets him kicked off a cliff and presumed KIA. But when Zen the Fox finds out that Po is in fact still alive and still trying to go fight the chameleon, she tries to stop him. Obviously, she can match him in physical combat, which makes zero sense. And then after she admits what she did was wrong, she does the exact same fake an attack into a hug that Tigress does in the second movie, although this time we just don't, no one cares, because we don't care about this random fox chick. Tigress is an incredibly complex character that we've had time to grow emotionally to. The fox has zero redeemable qualities. No one cares. She literally betrayed Poe like 5 seconds ago.
With Down syndrome, who was taken from her mother and put in a cage. I read about did you say womp?
The characters in this movie are as forgettable as they are safe. This is a trend we all saw happening in the third film, especially with Kai, where he was basically treated as a joke the entire film and then made less intimidating as a result of that joke. The reason why people say this film didn't need to exist is because Poe's done. His arc is complete, his character is complete, and it's very evident in this film because he goes through zero emotional change. The only thing you can say that he changed was his motivation now is to become the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, which essentially is just him spitting out proverbs the whole time. Now you would think because Poe's arc is basically completely finished, they would focus their time fleshing out a new character so that this movie actually has an emotional beat to grow off of. That's where you'd be wrong. You see, the next Dragon Warrior, also known as Zen, only ever really gets screen time when Poe is on screen. And when Poe is on screen, we are focusing on his character and his progression, which has no reason to progress. The only time they spend any effort fleshing out this new character that's been introduced is at the very end of the film, where they give her a very meager little backstory to try to get us to empathize with her, but have no scene after that showing how she's grown as a character other than her beating up her mentor that took her in. I won't get into how terrible a character the Chameleon is in this film. I bet we can all, if not articulate it fully, we can all feel why she's a terrible character, because she relies so heavily on the nostalgia aspect that comes with her being able to transform into Tai Lung or Shen or Kai or whatever. I'm not gonna go into it, but if your character is only interesting if they're directly imitating a past character you've made, there's a drawing board problem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my God, this movie makes no sense whatsoever. There are so many moments where rhyme and reasoning and logic and general thought process just get thrown completely out the window. So Poe gets knocked off of what is established to be the Chameleon's main base of operations, swarming with not only her, but all of her countless guards. He gets knocked off of that cliff and falls like 500 meters, but is caught on a branch. That branch is on the side of a sheer cliff that has no rocks, no nothing. It is just completely flat. Nobody can climb that. And then below him is about like an 1,000-foot drop where he'll very more than likely die. So he's stuck there and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fall off. The branch starts to break. He falls off the branch and is caught by his panda dad's hand and Mr. Peng the goose, and they're on the branch with him and they save him from falling. Where did they come from? If they came from below, there is no way that the panda dad could climb up to get to Poe's height. Not only that, but it is very clearly shown below Poe that he is nowhere to be seen, which means there's no way he could climb up that fast. And they couldn't have come from above because later in the film, they show them struggling to try to get into the castle. So if they were in the castle to jump down onto the ledge to save Poe, it makes no sense. They came out of thin air, and the movie acknowledges this because they never show them getting down either. They just teleport to the bottom. It makes zero sense. Also, something even in the trailer that doesn't even make sense is that a pivotal plot point of this movie, the entire thing that the Chameleon is after, is this magical staff that Poe has throughout the movie, because she needs to call forth beings from the spirit realm so that she can steal their chi and take their kung fu. It is a plot point that the Chameleon cannot fight, or cannot fight nearly as well in her chameleon form. She's too small. It just doesn't work. She can't, like, she just needs the chi to be able to fight. And only after achieving or capturing somebody's chi from them can she learn to fight like them. But after she's taken somebody's chi, that person then gets weakened, fatigued, they can't fight, they don't know how to fight anymore. It's like they've taken their kung fu out of them. Then later in the film, when she's fighting, she transforms into Po and starts fighting Po with his version of kung fu, despite the fact that she never stole his kung fu. And even if you go, oh, maybe when they crashed through the ceiling, she like stole his kung fu and then now she has it. Answer me this, why then is Po fighting her with his kung fu and he's still super skillful and like kicking her ass, right? How is he able to do that if she stole his kung fu? And if she didn't steal his kung fu, then how is she fighting with Po's kung fu? The entire battle just makes zero sense from start to finish. Not only that, earlier in the film when Po gets trapped in a cage, I might add, while he doesn't know Zen the Fox is there or is at all going to help him out, he is shown struggling to get out of it, and the chameleon says to him that that cage is enchanted with incredibly powerful magic that would require the strength of 10 dragon warriors. I know that's 5. 10 dragon warriors to be able to break out of it. So he has to break through the floor where the cage doesn't cover in order to escape. This is an established fact that he can't get out of the cage. Later in the film, he gets trapped in a 360-degree ball version of the cage that still has the magic enchantments. He can't get out of that, and so he has to let Zen fight the dragon master chameleon thing. He cannot get out of this cage, but when Zen beats the chameleon, because of course she does, Po just gets out of the cage and walks up to Zen, and they don't even acknowledge how he got out. She just goes, oh, you could have gotten out of that cage at any time, couldn't you? Why was he faking then? It doesn't make any sense because she just betrayed him. And even when Zen goes to fight the chameleon transforms back into the chameleon form instead of using the various different kung fu martial arts chi that she has, a form specifically stated to not be able to fight well. Now, here's the thing. You may be saying, she's mocking Zen. She's like, I can beat you in my chameleon form, and she definitely can because you're just so weak. But then she loses and gets nailed to the wall and basically passes out, and then Zen wins because of course she does. And then when Po gets out of the cage, it's not even Zen who beats her because of course the chameleon comes back and doesn't decide to transform into the giant 1,000-story tall dragon that she has the ability to transform into. No, she just switches between a whole bunch of them, and then Po goes skadoosh, you get wrecked, and she loses. Like, what? In conclusion, this movie makes no sense. The characters are horrible. It's basically one ginormous joke, and the chameleon is evidence of that. The chameleon makes zero sense and is almost strictly there because the movie has to have a villain, and you can't have one of the previous villains despite everybody's protest. It does not feel like a Kung Fu Panda movie, and I'm not even going to regard it as a fourth Kung Fu Panda movie. It didn't need to happen, but let's be honest, we all knew that going into this movie. And then later they're like, oh, Zen, you're the Dragon Warrior now, because of course she is, and she literally betrayed you 5 seconds ago. She has 0 redeemable qualities. There are so many better candidates, but yeah, Zen's the next Dragon Warrior because we all knew she was gonna be, and then the movie ends. It somehow made the third movie look amazing in comparison, and I don't know how. Anyway, I hope you all did enjoy this video. I don't particularly enjoy being negative all the time, but it seems like the negative stuff is really the only stuff that's worthy to talk about, but I do have a pretty big commentary video coming out soon, so I hope you do enjoy that. And it's much more positive than this one. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Night-night.